Live. We're starting. We're live. All right. Here we are back at JFocus. I'm Heather Van Cura, and I have Dr. Deprecator here with me.
Hello.
Hello.
Thanks for having me on.
Hi, Dr. It's been a while since I interviewed you.
Yeah, I don't remember the last time. I don't know if you've ever interviewed me, actually.
Okay, well, it's high time. So we're going to talk about deprecation. So I think we should start with Java 9, so JDK 9.
Yeah.
There's a lot of activity around that. So maybe you could recap for people who missed it. What's going on in that area?
All right, so in JDK 9, we introduced the new deprecation mechanism. Basically, it just firms up. I mean, deprecation has been around for a long time, but the short answer is it just was disused. So we said, okay, we're gonna beef it up, refine the specifications and definitions, add a bit that says we intend to remove this or not, as the case may be, and then really start to put it into use. So we deprecated a bunch of stuff. There are lots of old APIs around that we deprecated for removal, and so we intend to proceed with removing them. So there's a bunch of those. So in JDK 9, things were merely marked as deprecated for removal. And so since JDK 9, we've been working on actually removing them. So one of the things is, I guess in the previous interview, we heard from David
Delabasse. We just had him here talking about...
Right? So he's talking about EE4J and the Java EE contributions that are being made to Eclipse, and so that's great. But one thing that it's very confusing, the whole history. There are some stale copies of some Java EE libraries in Java SE. Right. So it's the JAX-B and JAX-WS stuff, and there's some related stuff as well. Also Corba. And that stuff, and the problem is that it got put into the JDK for distribution purposes long ago so that everybody could have it. But Java EE has evolved, and only later did it get refreshed and put into Java SE. So the problem is, historically, Java SE, and therefore the JDK, has always had an out-of-date versions of a subset of Java EE. And this just doesn't make any sense anymore. Mm-hmm. So from the deprecation perspective, we've said, okay, we're going to take these out of Java SE, so they're deprecated for removal. But of course, all the EE stuff is still there. You can still get Java EE 8, and then eventually you can get Java EE or its successor from Eclipse. Okay. So all that development is still going on. It's just that we're deprecating it from Java SE.
Right.
And that's causing a lot of consternation for people because they think, oh, it's going away, and it's confusing because all these different things are going on at the same time. So from the perspective where I work, it's Java SE. And so it's being removed from Java SE. And in fact, that actually will make things work better in the long run because there's this confusion about, well, if you just get the JDK and use stuff, you're using a stale copy of it. And then you had to do some extra work to say, okay, avoid those and use the latest Java EE stuff if you wanted to write a Java EE application. So I think overall in the long run, getting the redundant stale copies out of Java SE and the JDK makes sense.
It's the right thing to do.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and then you mentioned there was one other thing you were focusing on.
Finalization.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is kind of a. It was a bit of a surprise, but we went ahead and did it. In Java 9, we deprecated the finalization mechanism. And so finalization, if you talk to any of the garbage collection guys, they hate finalization. And finalization is defined in the language, and it has a bunch of problematic issues with it. And the idea is that what you really want to have is a last chance cleanup just before something is going to be garbage collected. But the problem with finalization is that you can actually resurrect an object and prevent it from being garbage collected. And that really complicates garbage collection. It's baked into the programming language. It kind of pollutes our specifications with some weirdnesses, and unavoidably, every garbage collector has to go through an extra cycle to deal with finalization.
Okay.
And so this is going to be a long process. So we deprecated it in JDK 9, But it's all still there. All the mechanisms are still there. And so what we're doing now is we're going through the JDK and removing uses of finalization from all the library mechanisms. And in fact, you go looking for stuff, it's like, oh my gosh, there's this stuff in there. For instance, what are the ones? File input stream, file output stream. If you look at those APIs, there's actually, in the API spec, in the Java doc, it says, oh, there's a finalize method on here, and it has this behavior. And so in order to get rid of that, we're actually having to make incompatible changes to the API. In case somebody has subclassed those and called super, they want to have a finalized mechanism have a particular behavior. But it turns out there are much better ways of dealing with cleanup, like the try with resources, and now we have weak references and cleaner. So we're encouraging people to migrate to those, and we're also, in fact, and that's what we're doing with some of the JDK. We're using phantom references now, actually. And then so we're migrating the JDK itself off of finalization. So, and I don't know, I mean, work is still going on, up through JDK 11. I don't know if it will be done by JDK 11. Maybe there will be more work to do in future releases of the JDK. But at some point in the future, the JDK itself will now no longer use finalization. However, the finalization mechanism will still be there, and applications can continue to use it. But at a certain point, we will actually deprecate it for removal and actually shut off the finalization mechanism. That's several releases in the future, so that'll probably be a few years at a minimum.
Well, we're looking at 2 releases this year, though, in 2018, right?
Yeah.
So Java 10 release is coming up in March, next month.
That's right.
Already, right? And then Java 11 in September timeframe, right, of 2018. So, and you did a talk just now, right? You just finished your talk.
Yeah, I just finished a talk earlier about collections. So it wasn't a deprecation talk. It was about collections. That's my other job.
Yeah.
Work on the collections
Multiple
framework.
personalities.
That's right. Yeah.
Okay. So that talk was recorded, though, so it's online if people want to find it.
It
from
should be.
JFocus?
Yeah. So JFocus talks recorded.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So if they are, the slides and video should be up, posted whenever they get the talks up there.
All about collections. All right. Well, thanks for catching us up on deprecation.
All right. Glad to be here. Thank you.
See you. We're gonna wrap up here at the night hacking stage, and we'll be back tomorrow. So they're gonna get ready for the party. Starts in like an hour or two, I think.
Couple hours. Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
All right. Great.
See you there.
Okay.
Okay.